Hi, I'm Angela Haupt, the editor of the Health and Wellness section at U.S. News.
And I'm Laura McMullen, a Health and Wellness reporter at U.S. News.
We're here today with Apolo Ohno. You probably know him as the great speed skater and the most decorated American Winter Olympics athlete of all time. Hi, Apolo.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining us. Good to see you. So we're here with Apolo today because throughout his entire career, he's been quietly dealing with a respiratory condition. It's called Exercise-Induced Bronchospasm, or EIB. So Apolo, tell us about this condition. Tell us what it is, what you've been dealing with.
Sure. EIB, or exercise-induced bronchospasm, is a narrowing of the airways during exercise. And I was diagnosed in the year 2000 as an athlete. I didn't know I actually had it. Very much like many of the people who have it in the U.S., an estimated 30 million Americans have this and deal with it on a day-to-day basis, and a lot of them don't even know they have it. I didn't know until I was diagnosed. It's like the symptoms that were happening to me was like the shortness of breath, the coughing, the wheezing. This was a little bit before exercise, during exercise, and after exercise, and overall like a significant decrease in my athletic endurance. I thought it was a byproduct of just me being out of shape, or perhaps, I don't know, just not training enough, or I thought that I was such a pure sprinter that I just wasn't supposed to really go more than 25 seconds. And so when I was diagnosed and we started introducing the right type of protocol to deal with my issue on a day-to-day basis, I immediately saw an improvement in my performance and my day-to-day activities. So it kind of, it gave me the internal confidence not to let something like that hinder me, but at the same time, I didn't know that I wasn't even performing at my potential. So it was one of those things where I was happy to be able to address that and move forward. So it's very interesting to me to be a part of this campaign, and it's something that I'm very passionate about, obviously, because I have a personal connection to it.
I don't know why the lights just went out, but I'm probably going to step back and turn them back on. But while I do so, could you talk a little bit about, you said, so did the working out trigger these symptoms? Is it every time you worked out is when it was the worst?
I don't think working out was triggering it, but it was, under that heavy load of like intense exercises when I would notice the biggest difference. But I deal with it on a day-to-day basis. And every single person's going to have their own specific symptoms and the ways that they deal with that. But overall, my main goal about publicly speaking about this is to get people more involved, so that we increase the awareness around EIB and let people know that they're not alone in having EIB, and it's very treatable, and they should treat it. In addition to that, we want to just educate people on what this is all about. Any age group, any athletic, skill level, it doesn't really matter. It can affect anybody. Obviously, it affected me, but I did not let it, kind of hamper me in any particular way in terms of stopping me from reaching and performing at my best abilities. But at the same time, the people say, well, I don't want to be an Olympic athlete, or I don't exactly want to be a speed skater, but it doesn't matter. Ultimately the goal here is to get people to still want to go out there and achieve their dreams, and specifically being more active, whether they want to be a professional athlete, or they want to be a weekend warrior, or they're just trying to be more active with their kids and their families. I think everybody in the U.S. is obviously trying to become more active. So it's a passion of mine, and it's something that I'm very highly interested in.
So after your diagnosis, I've read that you credit many of your successes to your diagnosis. Can you elaborate on that a little bit more, and how it was helpful to you to get to the bottom of what you were experiencing?
Sure. So with the diagnosis of what I was going of EIB, I had a 35+% drop-off rate from my normal breathing respiratory status, and my lung capacity and my ability to essentially take in oxygen and process the oxygen and in a sense recover in between workouts or in between sets or repetitions was significantly decreased. So by increasing my ability, or just essentially just coming back to what my baseline should have been from the beginning, I greatly enhanced my ability to perform on the ice and off. And not just on the ice. I mean, it was Dancing with the Stars. This was doing the New York City Marathon. Anything and everything related to activity. I think it really helped.
If we want to switch gears now, I mean, well, why did you decide to come out and speak out about this condition now?
Well, the reasons why was we want to just increase brand awareness, not only amongst, or not brand, but we want to increase awareness around EIB. We want people to understand what it is about. We want to educate them on that it is treatable, and ultimately, the estimated 30 million Americans who have and suffer from this on a day-to-day basis. Here's an opportunity for those people to be able to still become active. And maybe some people in the past that I'm just out of shape, I have to lose more weight, or this exercise is just not for me, or I'm just not very athletic. When in actuality, that's not the case. They actually could be suffering it just like I did, and different varying degrees at the same time. So we set up this website, eiballstars.com, and we created a contest that is structured around people going to the website, learning more about EIB, educating themselves, and seeing how they can perhaps treat this, and going obviously to their healthcare professional and getting diagnosed and seeing what the best treatment is. But during their process through the website, they can submit an entry into this contest, and with the entry, they can talk about in their story how EIB has affected them, why it's affected them, how they plan to overcome, and not let it hinder anything that they want to accomplish. And a winner will be chosen from a panel of judges, and that winner will then be flown to LA, to Los Angeles, to have dinner with me.
Wow.
Terrific. So can you tell us a little bit more about how you manage your EIB now? What kind of special precautions you have to take, if any, when you are, if it's not speed skating, when you're running the New York City Marathon, when you're on Dancing with the Stars? How do you manage your condition?
I manage my condition on a day-to-day, case-to-case basis, and sometimes it's worse than others. Oftentimes, I don't have any type of symptoms whatsoever. So it's really different. It's triggered by the air that is colder than the air that is inside of your lungs, and when you inhale that colder and drier air than what's already inside your lungs, that's when some of these symptoms start to occur. I live in LA. It's obviously a little bit warmer, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's not the case. So it really is a day-to-day, I guess not a struggle, but it's an obstacle to overcome, and something that I have full control over, which is great and fantastic. And that's why we're trying to get people to be able to essentially gain control over this condition and say that it's not gonna tie them down in any way. So I used various products throughout my experience as an athlete, and whether it was Dancing with Stars or getting ready for a marathon, everything was very specific in terms of how I dealt with it.
Yeah, and you just mentioned some of, like you're not just the skater, we run the marathon and on Dancing with the Stars, and we were curious, your winters probably, this isn't really talking about the condition, but your winters in LA are probably not quite what they are over here in DC, but we're curious as to some of your favorite winter workouts.
My favorite winter workouts? Yeah. Well, if I'm not in LA, because in LA, it was 75 degrees yesterday, so I wouldn't call that, I really wouldn't call that a winter, but well, I know you're shaking your head. That's not acceptable.
It's freezing here. We trade places with you in a second.
I miss the cold. I do. I love the cold. I do. Being a Winter Olympic athlete. I love running. I love running outside when it's cold, believe it or not. So my favorite activity, I love to ski. Snowboarding, I can't really do. I'm not very good at it. It's actually pretty comical watching me go down a hill. But I love any activity. So whether it's mountain bike riding, whether it's cycling, whether it's running outside. Winter is a little bit more tough. Obviously, I love skating at any point. So whether I'm on hockey skates or I'm on speed skates, as long as I'm skating, I have a good time.
Great. So Apolo, you're obviously pouring a lot of your time and your energy into this campaign, bringing awareness to people. But what else are you up to these days? And might we see you in Russia in 2014?
Sure. Well, I just finished my last stint on Dancing with the Stars. I hit the ground running. I've been traveling quite a bit, and now I'm focused on things I've always had time to focus on. You will see me in Russia 2014. I don't know to what capacity. Whether I'll probably still have my skates with me. I just don't know if I'll be skating on them or not. But I'll be in Russia working the events. I'm actually leaving in 2 days for Asia for some business-related activity, and also I'm one of the global ambassadors for the Special Olympics. So I'm going to Korea. I'm very excited to be a part of that and go help volunteer and skate with some of the athletes over there too. So my plate is full. I filmed a short movie last summer in Vancouver that airs tomorrow on the Sci-Fi Channel, which is kind of fun. But that's the nice part about taking a break away from something that you've spent over half your year pursuing, is that you can concentrate on these other projects, whether they're in business, whether they're in the entertainment industry, and specifically in this EIB All Stars campaign, in terms of just trying to educate people on something that has affected me personally. So it's fun. It gives me a lot of freedom.
Oh, that's fantastic. So before we part ways, do you have any final words of wisdom to the other 30 million people who are suffering from this condition? Any parting advice for those people?
Sure. I think first and foremost, let them know that they're not alone. There's probably many millions of people who also have the same condition, but to remember that they don't have they don't have to let it control their life. They don't have to let it hinder what they want to do, and that anything is possible. Obviously with the right type of protocol incorporated, but they can control their own destiny in a sense. And some things we can't control, but the one thing we can is how we deal with EIB.
Very well said. Well, thank you so much, Apollo. It's been really interesting to learn more about this condition, how you're coping with it, how it's affected you. So thank you for sharing your story. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in.